Hi, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of FTU Life After the Military. I'm your host, Tony Rodriguez, and today we have a short episode here on the pod. I have no guest for today, but today we're going to talk about several things, right? We're going to talk about other podcasts, right? How exciting is that, right? A podcast talking about other podcasts. We're going to talk about my progress with the Chapter 31 through the VA, and also discuss my journey with the VA with my claim. I'm also going to touch on a little bit. Again, I'm running for political office in 2024, and I have chosen to run as a Republican, and we're going to touch on why I am running as a Republican. And as always, we're going to talk about mental health and physical health. But that's where we're going to start, right? Mental health and physical health. Because like I said, for me, this podcast is about helping our brothers and our sisters and helping them find employment, make that transition out of the military into, what you would call normal life. So for me, the first steps that I had to take was addressing the mental problems I had, right? And I don't hide that. For about 10 years, I drank heavily and, got into a little bit of trouble in Paraguay, got sent home, but I was able to recover, fortunately, with the help of my family. I was able to get over that and continue on with my career. But more importantly, with that, I was able to clean up my act and continue on with my life. So recently I've been contacted through this podcast. I've been able to get in contact with people that I haven't talked to in a few years, right? Well, there was this one gentleman I hadn't talked to in a while. I'd say 7 years at least. And so we exchanged phone numbers, and when he asked for my phone number, he looks at his phone and he said, "What did I have you on my phone number as?" "Oh, yeah, I think I had you in here as putito," right? If you don't speak Spanish, that's rude. And if that's how he viewed me, then that's fine. Okay, I understand. Or maybe I don't. It really doesn't matter. The point is, I hadn't talked to this person in several years. So I gave him my number. I got his number and was thinking about, okay, yeah, sure, then we'll keep in touch. And I drove home. It was about an hour later, and I thought to myself, why would I want to keep in contact with this person? They're still in the same place they were 7 years ago. They have not tried to improve themselves. And if they viewed me as that before, they most likely still view me as that. So I don't want them in my life. So I blocked the number, and then I deleted it from my phone. Because I just don't need that. And that might sound a little rude. That might sound a little selfish. And okay, it might be. My whole point to this is that my health, my mental health, and my physical health is more important. So if I have to disengage from people I knew before, then that's what I'm going to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. So I know a lot of us feel that because we were in the military and we knew a lot of people that we're obligated to still talk to them, but we're not. We're not. We're out of the military. We don't have to work with them ever again. So you're free to speak to whoever you want to, or not speak to anyone. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. And I want to make sure that we all understand that. Now, if this person called me and said, or I guess they can't call me anymore, but if they emailed me and asked for assistance, trying to find a job or trying to find help in any way, shape, or form, I'd help them out. I just don't want to hang out with them. I don't want to chit chat with them. I also had somebody else reach out, and their comment was, I really miss that little angry man. It's like, well, you obviously don't know who I am anymore because, I addressed my issues, and I have, I'm not perfect, right? I said it multiple times. We're looking for progress, not perfection. So I have my days, some good days, and I have some days that aren't as good. I still get down sometimes, but I found ways to deal with that now. So now I'm not trying to drink, or I'm not carrying this anger inside me. But it seems like they still are. And so all I can do is say, I hope you reach out and get some assistance, whatever that may be. When I was still in, I was talking to one of the guys back at the unit, Bryce, right? And Bryce is a pretty smart guy. And, I respect Bryce and I respect his opinion. And he was talking about these shots, right, that you can get in the neck, and they help with the symptoms, right, with this anger, this easily agitated feeling that we get sometimes. And I know other people who have gotten that, and they say it works. And if that's what you need, if that helps you, then by all means go and get it. I also know some people who are on meds, right? And if that's what you need, then by all means go ahead and get that. For me, I feel that those are just dealing with the symptoms and not the cause, not the actual problem. So for me, I had to go to therapy. And again, Tracy, thank you very much for all of your help. I'm not perfect, but making progress. And a lot of that was because you helped me out. So I'll always appreciate that. But if you're out there, just figure out what works for you. I say that I went to this therapy and it helped me deal with my mental issues, but it also helped me with my physical issues, right? I'm not as tired as I used to be. I found that, I said that I was pre-diabetic, and that's true. But part of the other thing with that is that before I used to go to the gym and I would work out for an hour, and then I'd go run for anywhere between 60 and 90 minutes, right? So 2 to 2.5 hours a day was taken up just working out. And that was 5 days a week, right? I was taking in 4,000 calories a day, and it seemed like I was just eating all the time. And now, since I addressed my issues, I don't really snack too much anymore. I'm not eating just to eat. I'm not eating to cover up these feelings that I had. I don't know if this makes any sense to anyone, but that's what I did. Eating sweets made me happy, right? Eating these fat pills, some pies or cake, it made me happy. So that's what I would do. But now that I address these issues, I just don't, not really hungry. So there's benefits to going and seeking assistance. I was, this past weekend was Veterans Day, and I saw quite a few things on social media talking about suicide in the military and with veterans, right? Again, the 22 push-ups and all this nonsense, and the suicide hotline, and they're seeing increased calls in the suicide hotline. For me, these are all good measures, but they seem to be a little late. A suicide hotline. So call me if you're at the end of the rope and you're going to hurt yourself. Like, we need to catch this way before. Again, the military is not really, set up for this because it's a war machine, right? And not criticizing the military. They have a job to do. I understand that. But we're not in the military anymore. We're retired, or we ETS'd. So what I'm asking is, if you know somebody who's out there you might be concerned about, well, reach out to them, call them, just check on them. You don't know how that's going to affect them. Maybe they feel like they're just alone. I know I felt like that a lot of times. I would be in a crowded room and I felt like I was completely on my own. So what is it going to hurt? I'm not saying you need to try to be their, psychotherapist, because let's face it, we're not meant to do that. We're not set up for that. But you can call and check up on someone and just say, hey man, how's it going? And you'd be surprised at how far that goes. So that's enough about mental health, right? Because it gets a little heavy. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was podcasts, right? This is a podcast to help veterans. Well, I don't know if you know this, but there are currently well over 2 million podcasts that you can listen to. So if I sat here and said, hey, my idea was original to get out there and help veterans, I'd be a complete and total liar. You can just go in and look at the category, type in veterans, and there's quite a few podcasts that come up. But I want to touch on 3. Now, I recommend you listen to these, but you take what you want from them. I'm not trying to promote them. I'm just saying these are different avenues, because I try to get somebody on here who could help start, provide information on how to start a small business, right? But people are busy. So again, everyone who comes on here, it's free of charge. Nobody's charging me a fee. And even if they wanted one, I don't have one to give you. So I'm sorry. But the first one I want to talk about is Veteran on the Move. It's about starting a small business for veterans. I looked into this a little bit, but again, actually running a small business seems like more work than I want to take on. So if you have a moment, just go into Apple Podcasts and you type in Veteran on the Move and it'll come up, and it's about how to start a small business. And again, because I've mentioned it multiple times, that mental health is important to me. If you go into Apple Podcasts and you type in Drive On Podcast, this will come up. It's about mental health for veterans. And lastly, for VA help, right? Veterans Helping Veterans Podcasts. That one seems pretty self-explanatory. So if you have the time, I recommend you go in and you just check these out. What is it going to hurt, right? You might get something out of it. You might not, but who knows? So just go ahead and check them out. All right. So I mentioned that I applied for Chapter 31, right? This VR&D program through the VA. So once I applied for it, I received a notice saying that I was accepted in, and I was talking to Drew over the weekend and asked him if he applied for it, and he said no, and he said he doesn't qualify for it because he already has a job. It's like, and what I explained to him was, we're veterans, we qualify for it. Even if you're in a job, maybe that's not the job you want to do. Again, this is not a zero-sum game. If I take this training, if I apply for it, I'm not taking it from someone else. We can all apply for it, or we can all be approved for it. So I have my first appointment with my counselor on Wednesday, and we're going to discuss how I want to proceed. Again, like I said, I'm looking into this data analytics training up at UNC Chapel Hill, because that seems to be a job that's in high demand right now. So why not look at that? So if you're out there and you're not sure what you want to do, if you're not sure, if you're out and you're just hanging out, and look into this, because we've earned this. Okay. There are a lot of things that, when I was in the military, I was given an award. I don't know. Did I earn it? I don't know. Who cares? What difference does that make, right? But this I know I've earned. So I'm going to apply for it, and I'm going to make the VA tell me no, that I don't qualify. Why am I going to disqualify myself? I need to put myself first. Yeah, I know they're overworked, right? Because we have a lot of veterans who need help. Well, here's the thing. If I say, okay, I'm not going to do it, if I'm not going to apply, it's not like all of a sudden, wow, we have one less. Now we can breathe. Now we're not overworked. That's not, they're still going to be overworked. So if I have to get in line, fine, I'll get in line and I'll wait. But you're going to help me out because I've earned that. And we should all have that mentality. Not be rude, not be angry. But, we should all have that mentality. We need to put ourselves first, because if we don't care about ourselves, nobody else is going to. All right, so that leads me to my VA claim, right? So I don't know if I told you, but I filed it. And so, again, there's different stages, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5, it means you're good. So I was at stage 3. And then last week, all of a sudden, I looked it up. If you don't have the VA app on your phone, I recommend you getting it, because you can do everything from your phone. And it's actually a lot easier than going on the computer and using the DS login. But my move from, category 3 back to 2, right? It's like, how is my claim moving backwards? Right? Because like I said before, I received my unofficial notice back in July of what my rating was. So it should be as simple as just let's verify it, give him his notification and move along. But evidently that's not how the VA works, which is perfectly understandable. So again, I was officially out of the military on October 19th. I've called the VA twice to look up on this, and both times they're a little surprised. And this last time, the young lady didn't have any answers, and I could tell that she was just trying to make up answers as she was going along, which was fine. And I wasn't demanding a date on when I was going to be notified or when it was going to be settled. I just asked, why is my claim moving backwards? And she couldn't tell me. So I was as polite as I could, and I just informed her, look, that's perfectly fine. I'm going to call back next week, and whoever answers, if it's still in, step 2, whoever answers the phone, I'm going to light them up because I need an answer. I get it. You have all these people that you're dealing with. Well, we're all equally important, or we're all equally unimportant. If you're going to work on their stuff, then you need to find time to work on mine too, and have answers for me, because I've earned that. I'm not saying to go ahead of the line, but you should at least have an answer for my questions. Or if you don't have an answer, then you can say, hey, I don't have an answer. Can you give me a couple of days? And then I'll email you, I'll text you, I'll call you, I'll send smoke signals, I'll send a singing telegram, I'll send you something in the mail, whatever. But I need an answer. And if you can't give me an answer, I'm going to call back, and then I'm going to light you up. Fortunately enough, it didn't come to that. And the next day, I'm not saying I had anything to do with them, my phone calls, but it went back to step 3. How long it's going to stay there, I don't know. It might stay there for another 6 months. But what I don't want to see is I don't want to see it moving backwards. Even though if you go on the VA website, it says that your claim can move between steps 2 and 3 multiple times, and that there's nothing wrong with that. But again, if I don't call and show that I care about my claim, then nobody else is going to do that. So you have to be proactive. You have to care about yourself. You have to make sure you take those steps, carve out some time to follow up on that. Because if you don't, nobody else is going to do it for you. And again, the VA's overworked. So if you don't call and check on it, they're just going to say, wow, must not be that important. Okay, so I want to, now that we're done with that, I want to segue into, again, I'm running for political office. I'm running for state assembly in 2024 for District 45, right? And my sisters asked me, what party are you going to run for? Or what's your political party? Well, I've been a registered Republican for, the past 26 years. So I'm going to run Republican. And if you think about it, that's actually smart, because the individual who won, she's a Democrat. So it's easier to, I'm not saying it's easy to win the nomination for your party, but it would be easier to win a nomination amongst a wide open field than trying to remove the incumbent. So it benefits me to run as a Republican. Now, to be perfectly honest, if I could run as an independent or as the American party, I would, because my political affiliation doesn't matter. Right now, we're living in this crazy social media time, and where it seems like the extreme politicians get all the attention, right? And that's not who I am. I'm not out there. I'm not going to name call my opponent. I just want to help the people in my district. Like I said, growing up in East LA, there were really no role models. There were really no community leaders. I guess you could say the priests were community leaders, but even they weren't very good. There was this one that I don't know how he was a priest, because he just wasn't a very good person. But that's a topic for another day, right? So I don't know how many people actually, went on and earned a college degree or had what you would call a successful life in East LA. I know here in District 45, I was looking at the demographics, and only 25% of the people in this district have a college degree. And yes, I know a lot of people are saying, well, college degrees aren't what they were before. Maybe, That you might have a very good point. However, if I'm out there, if I'm an employer and I'm looking for somebody to hire, am I going to hire the person who has a college degree or the person who has high school diploma, a GED, or nothing? So I understand both sides, right? It's like, but we should be providing opportunities for our young people and encouraging them to find something. Again, not everybody wants to go to college, but you can go learn a skill, right? You can go to the community college. You can learn to be a machinist, a welder, a plumber, an electrician. You can go be a paramedic or an EMT. There are other things that you can do. You don't have to get a college degree, but you should continue on. The idea that, okay, I graduated high school, woo, I made it. So what are my opportunities to either go work at Walmart or join the military? This is a big world. There are a lot of other things that they can do. And we need to provide them the information so they know that there are other things that they can do. They don't have to join the military, work at Walmart, or, I'm going to college, but I have to get this, I have to be really good at football or basketball or baseball so I can get this scholarship so I can go. We need to provide them the information so they know that they can achieve their goals and they don't have to put their life on the line by joining the military. Again, not that there's anything wrong with the military, but when my daughter asked me if I wanted her to join the military, I told her, you know what, if you ever say that again, I'm just going to, Tanya Harding you and take out both of your knees. So that ended that conversation pretty quick. But along with that, we have a responsibility to our elders, to our senior citizens here to make sure that they're taken care of. Because I think we kind of just put them off in the corner and ignore them. And it's a concern for me. Why? Because I'm getting older and I'm closer to being a senior citizen than I am to being 21. Two, our veterans, they need help because if I have these issues, then I'm sure our brothers who are in the Gulf War and Vietnam, and even our brothers who are still alive from Korea and World War II, I'm sure they have issues, and we owe it to them to help them out, to reach out and see how they're doing and provide services for them. And along with that, you know what? Everybody in this district deserves to be better off than what they were. They need to know that somebody wants to help them achieve their goals. Again, I definitely don't want a long-lasting career in politics because it's just not for me. I have other goals that I want to do. But if I'm elected this time for 2 years, then I'll seek re-election for another 2 years, and then that's it. I'm out. 4 years. That's all I'm willing to put in. If I can't start to change the attitude and the community within 4 years, then I'm probably never going to do it. And then it's time for somebody else to come in and do it. Hey everyone. So the first part of the podcast I was recorded earlier in the week, and I wanted to finish out the rest of this episode just to let people know what's going on with my VA claim, right? So, like I said, the app and their website, it's great because it shows you updates on your claims, right? Well, the problem that I had with both is that I mentioned before that the dates kept changing, right? Well, I have one claim in the system, but it was showing up 3 different times. And if you've never seen it before, it's basically the little tiles. They're just like little blocks, right? And it was the exact same claim, just 3 different times, and it had 3 different dates. And each date was when it was submitted, supposedly. I had one from June, and then one was updated to September, which got updated to October, and then this last one showed that it was updated to November 1st, then it changed to November 10th, and then the 16th, and then November 17th. So I've called the VA multiple times this week, and they, again, the apps and the website, it's great because it's gives you a quick view of your claim. But when I had questions, I didn't go anywhere else. I just went straight into the VA and called them. They're I'm sure they're used to people being very rude and upset and angry, and I understand that. Um, so I just explained my situation, and honestly, most of the time when I explained it, it was not very clear, and they were able to understand what I was saying. So good on them, right, for understanding my just nonsense that comes out of my mouth sometimes. But they helped me out and they explained it to me. And so today I received my rating. Yesterday I was notified that a letter was going to be sent out. I called them, but they weren't allowed to email it to me until today because that's the day. Today is the official day that it was being mailed out. So they emailed it to me today, and I got my rating, right? And so there's a little bit of a change from my unofficial rating in July to now. My unofficial rating had something like 400%. This one dropped down to 350%. And so honestly, it really makes no difference. My disability rating is still 100%. It's just some of the things that I was going to get 10% for changed to 0%. But like I mentioned before, a 0% is it's still a percentage. You were rated, you were given something. And the reason why that's important is because I was claiming TBI, and they said no, I didn't have enough proof. But I can go in and file another supplemental claim if I need to, if my symptoms get worse, if my memory gets worse, if I have any problems, I can do that. Two, I filed cyanitis, but they gave me a 0% rating, which I found odd because I proved that I was in Iraq 3 different times in that time period for the burn pits. So I'm not sure why I got a 0%. But as long as they give me my meds, my Flonase and my Claritin and my Benadryl when I need it for free, I'll be fine. So the whole point of this is that, you have to just stay on top of your claim. There is a time period that you're going to have to wait, and you have to be reasonable because, just because you file it one day doesn't mean you're going to get an answer the next. But you have to stay on top of it because nobody's going to care more about your claim than you. And the people at the VA, they are overworked. And like I mentioned, I don't mind if I have to get in line and wait. But I do deserve an answer. Just answer my questions. And every time I've called, they've been very polite and very professional. So just be proactive. It doesn't take much. Nowadays you can ask your phone to dial for you. If you save the number in there, you can ask whatever it is, whether it's Alexa or the Google one or Siri, and they'll dial for you. So it really doesn't take very much. So the other thing with that, right? So my daughter, I wasn't given an award for her, right? And what I saw after I read the full letter, because the letter came out and it's like 60 pages long. So I'm not going to lie, it took a while for me. I read like the first 3 or 4 pages, which told me my percentage, and then I stopped reading until later on in the day. Well, what it said is that I filled out the paper wrong. The dates that I submitted were wrong. So I corrected the dates and resubmitted it. Now, the problem with that is that because I'm 100% now, my daughter qualifies for Chapter 35. So it's basically another form of educational benefits, right? Tuition assistance. It's just another way for her to pay for her schooling. Now, the problem with that is I can't get both. I can't get her payment for, I guess, my disability payment in that and the Chapter 35. But Chapter 35 we're not going to apply for until next year. And so I called back to the VA, and they were very helpful, and they explained it to me that I could resubmit the 674 so I can get the payment for my daughter for this year all the way up until she starts school of August of next year. And, I can file for Chapter 35. And once we're awarded that, then just call them back and have that payment stopped because you can't double dip. And so I didn't know that. So that's awesome. It's awesome that they explained that to me, that I could get that money now. Now, for me, I understand, the monetary compensation is great. And, for some of us, it gives us peace of mind. And be honest, I've mentioned that I have a job and I love my job. It's great. My boss is awesome. The people I work with, it's a great environment. I couldn't have asked for anything better after retiring from the military. But I'm not going to lie that I was a little stressed. Not at work. It's just I didn't know when I was going to get word from the VA, what my rating was going to be. Was I going to have to file any more paperwork? Was it going to take a week? Was it going to take 6 months? And that just added a little bit of stress. So although I've had a lot of things to do and been occupied and been pretty happy for the most part, this added a little bit of stress. And just receiving that letter today just made me feel a whole lot better. And I'm very excited that basically this is done for now. Now, that monetary compensation it's nice. It gives me a little bit of peace of mind. But what I try to explain to people, and I explained to Drew as well, we've had this discussion multiple times. That monetary compensation isn't going to, it's not going to take away the pain that I have in my shoulders every second of the day. It's not going to take away the pain I have in my lower back or my hips. It's not going to help me with my memory because, I forget. I just forget things. This past week, I went to dinner with a couple of my friends. One of them came in town, and Jesse, and it was just funny because we all wanted to sit with our backs so we could see the door, and it was just hilarious, right? So eventually somebody had to sit with their back to the door and they couldn't see it. And Juan, thank you for taking one for the team. But there's no monetary compensation that is going to fix that. That's just something we have to deal with. And for me, if there was a way to, I would give the money back if you could just fix all of that. But I know there is no fixing that, right? This is just how I am now. My body's broken down. If you saw me, you would think, oh man, I've had multiple people on the podcast say like, man, you look so much happier and you look so much better. You've lost weight. It's like, yeah, I am happier and I have lost weight, but I've lost weight because I can't. I have to lose weight. I was reading something online today from military.com saying that 25% of veterans are diabetics with type 2 diabetes. That they conducted this extensive research into this. Like, really? You spent millions of dollars on this research? All you have to do is just look around at all the retirees and you can see that people put on weight. It boggles my mind that we're wasting money on things that are obvious, right? But again, that's just the military, that's the government, that's how it works. So what I'm asking you is, if you hear this and you're retired, just make sure that you're taking care of yourself mentally and physically, because there's no amount of money that's going to do that for you. There isn't. It's like you have to be selfish. I know that we all did. We served our country and we were told that we have to be team players and we put the team first. We've been released from our oath. We're retired, and it's okay for us to be selfish and to think about us first, because we have to. I don't want anybody who's listening to this, I don't want anybody who did any time in the military to get out and then you pass away a year or 2 years later because you just didn't take care of your mental or your physical health. Like, we're better than that. We're more important. We deserve more than that. And so if you're listening to this, please just go out for a walk. I love to run, and the pain in my shoulders, it kills me. It just hurts to run. So I tape up my shoulders. I use my Tiger Balm, I tape it up, and then I'll go run. And, back when I was younger, about 18, 20 years old, I was dropping a mile in 4 minutes and 30 seconds flat, right? So I could run 2 miles in 9 minutes. Well, now it takes me about 9 minutes to do a mile, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 11. Who cares? I just want to get out there and do something because running still makes me happy and I enjoy it. And, you know, you just want to stay active. You don't want to, you know, you just don't want to turn into a Job of the Hut. I mean, there's no other way to put it, right? Like you don't want to be a big old blob. Like so get up and do something. Go for a walk. Get on the elliptical. I don't know. Go join the Silver Sneakers and do the senior citizen aquatic exercise. Just do something and watch what you eat. I'm not saying you have to be on a diet, every second of your life, but maybe we don't have to have, you know, 4 eggs, some hash browns, toast, sausage, bacon, and ham. Maybe we could just have some bacon and eggs. Maybe we could cut back a little bit here and there. So I'm not preaching because like I said, I'm pre-diabetic, and I still sneak a chocolate here, once in a while, because I like it, and I'm not going to deprive myself of that. It's like maybe I don't have to eat 5 a day every day. So just balance it out, guys. So on another note, I want to let everybody know that this podcast is basically, you can get it just about anywhere. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Google Podcasts, we're Podbean, Spotify, we're on Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Listen Notes. Today, where I was just approved for Samsung, we're on Podchaser. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook, and just started posting the audio clips onto YouTube. I'm not doing Instagram because, again, once we start up with the political career, we're going to have an Instagram page. So I don't want to have to deal with 2 of them. The last thing I wanted to talk about was I wanted to say thank you to my good pal, Richie. He's the owner of Pineland Embroidery. He gifted me this beautiful, beautiful little sweater, but with the company logo. And it wasn't like on the t-shirts where it was just, like a iron-on patch. It was embroidered on there. It's like, I was just amazed. It looked exactly like the logo, and it was embroidered. So if you have an opportunity, if you need some t-shirts or ball caps or anything, go online and type in Pineland Embroidery and reach out to Richie. And the quality of his work is amazing, and I highly recommend you just check out what he has, because you will not be disappointed. And Richie, again, thank you very much. This is probably easily one of my kids don't count, right? My kids don't count as gifts. I tell that to my wife. I tell that to everybody. My kids don't count as gifts. But this has to be like easily one of the top 5 gifts I've ever received in my life. So again, thank you very much. So that's, the government-owned business that we're promoting today. Again, if you're in the Fayetteville area, and you want to find some souvenirs or something, or if you just want a nice little shop to walk into, walk into a bit of Carolina down in downtown Fayetteville. Robin and James, they're nice people, and you'll find something in there you like. If nothing else, you'll find some delicious macarons, however you want to pronounce it. So again, I just want to say thank you all for listening. I hope you have a good weekend. Next week is Thanksgiving, so we're only going to have 2 episodes. The first episode is going to be Julian, Part 2, The Return of the Marine. And then the second one, I'm so excited. It's going to be the episode with my daughter. So I'm very excited. I know my voice is pretty monotone and pretty dry. So if you hear quite a bit of excitement, that's the reason why. She's my champion. She's my hero. So I'm very excited to have her on the show. So, all right. Hope you have a good weekend. Just remember, you're special. You are important. You do matter. Take care of your physical and your mental health. All right. Until next time, we'll talk to you later. Zot, zot, zot. And roll tide.